The sun dipped low over the rugged hills of Redwater Valley, spilling fire over the horizon. Dust rose in golden plumes as Lila Hart galloped across the open range on her chestnut mare, Sparrow. Her hair, the color of whiskey and sunlight, streamed freely behind her, a banner of rebellion in a town that whispered too much and understood too little. They said she was too wild. Too wild to belong. Too wild to be loved. But what did they know of her nights alone, staring at the endless stars, aching for something more than fences and judgment? Lila had been raised by her father, a trapper who'd taught her to ride before she could read. When he passed, the men of the town offered her pity, and a future as someone's housekeeper or wife. She refused both. Instead, she took to ranch work, mending fences, breaking colts, and earning her own keep. But every time she walked into town, head high, boots dusty, the murmurs followed. No decent man would ever have her, they'd say. A woman like that don't settle down. That evening, Lila found herself at the edge of Hollow Creek, letting Sparrow drink from the cool water. The sky burned with the last of daylight when she heard hooves behind her. She turned sharply, hand on her rifle, only to see a tall cowboy riding up slow and easy, his hat tipped low. Clay Maddox. A name that carried a weight of its own, a drifter, a cattle hand, a man with eyes like quiet thunder. "Evenin', Miss Hart," he said, voice deep and smooth as the creek's current. "You come to tell me I'm too wild too?" She shot back. He chuckled, reining his horse beside hers. "No, ma'am, I reckon you just ride faster than most men can keep up with." For a heartbeat, the world went still, just two riders, the sound of breathing horses, and the wind weaving through the grass. Something in his gaze didn't judge her. It saw her. She looked away, unsettled by the warmth in her chest. "Don't need anyone riding beside me," she muttered. "Maybe not," Clay said. "But maybe you deserve someone who will anyway."
Days turned to weeks, and Clay kept showing up. On trails, in the hills, at the edges of her solitude. He never tried to tame her spirit, never spoke soft lies. He just rode beside her, mile after mile, through rain and dust, through silence and laughter. He didn't ask where she was going. He just matched her pace. One afternoon, a storm rolled over Redwater. The sky cracked open, lightning slicing through black clouds. Lila urged Sparrow up the ridge, determined to outrun it, but the rain came too fast, turning the ground slick. Her horse stumbled, nearly throwing her, when strong hands caught her reins. "Easy there," Clay shouted through the downpour, his coat soaked, his hat dripping. "You'll break your neck out here. I can handle myself," she snapped, but her voice shook, not from fear, but from the strange comfort of his nearness. "I know," he said gently. "But sometimes even the wild need to rest." The words hit her harder than the rain. She'd spent her whole life fighting to prove she didn't need anyone. Yet here was a man who didn't want to cage her, just to ride beside her until she chose to stop. As thunder rolled, she let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Slowly, she eased Sparrow to a halt. Clay dismounted and reached for her hand, steady and sure. The storm raged around them, but she felt a stillness she hadn't known in years. "You don't have to tame me," she whispered. He smiled, rain running down his jaw. Wouldn't dream of it, Lila. Just wanna make sure you've got someone when you're ready to rest. And for the first time, she let herself lean, just a little, against him. The wild in her didn't fade. It simply found a home beside his quiet strength. From that day on, folks in Redwater still called her wild. But they also said, when the storms came and the trails grew long, you could always find her and the cowboy, side by side, riding until the wind itself rested.